Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Michele and I'm independent demonstrator here with Stamping Up. Hi Nicole, thanks for joining us today. Please jump on and say hello. Let us know where you're from. It's always great saying hello to new people, and it's always great seeing where people are from. We're always here ready for a good chat. Most of the girls jump on here all like to chat amongst themselves, which is really good. Today I'm going to play with the Seasons of Elegance. Now, I have only just started playing with this. I've had it for a little while, but I haven't really got into it. I've used some of the dies in a scrapbook layout, which I've just been working on the last week or so, but I haven't played with the designer series papers or a lot of the stamps in this. So today we're going to have a little bit of a play. It's quite a big suite. It's got 2 stamp sets and it has 2 sets of dies. So let's just have a quick closer look at it. So you've got in this suite 2 stamp sets. You can buy the whole lot as one bit, but you can also buy all these pieces individually. Just remember when we have bundles, which we have here in the stamp set and then the coordinating dies, if you buy them as a bundle, you do get the 10% discount on those. So this has got 2 bundles in it, but you can also buy each piece of this bundle as independent pieces. The discount for buying the bundles is already, if you buy the whole suite, that is already included in that suite. Okay, so you don't get a double dip on that discount. So you've got one stamp set, which is a photopolymer set, which is all sentiments, and there's quite a few really good Christmas sentiments in that. Let me just grab mine here so you can see it a little bit closer up. So you've got lots of really wonderful sentiments, plus a nice size Christmas in a beautiful font, and lots of other fonts that you could use on the inside of your card as well as on the outside of your card. It comes with all of these beautiful dies. At the moment, I'm looking at this one here. I'm not going to use it today, but with my husband's business, last year we gave out bottles of wine, and I did quite an interesting piece to go on the front of the wine. And I'm just thinking this year I might just do something very, very simple by just using this die here and stamping my sentiment in the middle. Then you've got these little holes in each corner where you can actually put a loop of ribbon. So I think that could be quite effective if you're wanting to give gifts of bottle of wine and things like that. You've also got this one here, which again you can, it's got holes on either end where you can slip a piece of ribbon through, and they're great for sentiments on cards as well. So just sort of looking at different things that you can do. You've got these 2 here which look like folded ribbon, and the Christmas one here is, I'm going to use this one today, and you've got the Christmas stamp which you can just stamp on its own, or you can have this die cut stamp, and that will fit inside of this piece. It's like 2 pieces that go together, but you could also stamp it and just use this piece here as well. So there's quite a bit you can do with this stamp set. The other stamp set is all your trees, and this is the one I've been having a little bit of fun playing with. And I've been playing with these dies of the trees here. So, but you've also got dies here that make a bow. You've got a cluster of trees. This one here cuts out little holes so it looks like snowflakes. Not something I'd necessarily use here in Australia. But then you've got all these wonderful dies as stamps as well. Now, the sentiments are a photopolymer, but the actual stamps that are red rubber in the trees. So they're 2 different styles of stamps there as well, which means that they can get all those beautiful textures in the Peaceful Evergreen. And actually, I'll show you, I have got some stamped up here, and you can see here, got lots of lovely texture because that is a distinctive stamp set. Okay, so you've got your lights and your darks all with one stamped image and one ink. What else do we have in this? Well, you've also got in this suite, you've got an embossing folder, which we will be using today, which is this one here, a nice big size one. I'll only be using a portion of it because I only want a portion of this, but you've got 3 trees, different heights, would make a great background. And one of the interesting things that I was looking at today in the catalogue, if you have a close look with this particular card example here, what they've done is it almost looks like they've stamped the tree where the embossed tree would be. I'm not quite sure, they'd be a bit fiddly to do that, but you could also get a dauber and run it over your raised area and just give a little bit of colour to that raised area beneath. Please, could you stamp out the large shape for me in the tree stamp set so I can see what it looks like? The large tree, you're talking about this large one here, Nicole. Let me have a look because I know I did that, all of these the other day. I stamped out all these and then didn't use them. But the largest one is that one. So that's it there. So that's your large one. Then you have this one here, which is a longer and thinner. And is that the same? That's the same as that one. Let me see. There is a third one. There it is. And then you have that little one there. So this one's in Old Olive and these two are Mossy Meadow. So they're your three trees. Hi, Deborah. How are you? The curved shape. Which one do you mean by the curved shape? You're talking about in the stamps? We're talking about these ones here. Those two. Just let me know, Nicole, because I can grab a piece of scrap cardstock here and stamp, any of those out if you want to have a look at. So just let me know, A or B. Yes, the ones you pointed to. So you want to see both of those? Okay, I'll do that for you in a moment. This particular suite also comes with these elements here. They're a little bit yellowy gold, probably for me, but very interesting anyway. They are called gold textured adhesive backed, and they've probably just only got just the slightest of texture in them. They've just got a little bit, they're quite smooth, but there is inside the dot itself like a little bit of a matteness to it. So it's got a combination of both the matte and a shiny one as well. And then also in this suite you get this ribbon. Now this is beautiful. It's very, very soft, would tie beautifully in bows because it is very, very pliable. And that's what I love this ribbon, because I hate ribbons when they become very thick and you can't tie a nice bow or anything in them. So a very nice ribbon as well. So let's just get started, and I'm going to probably start off by stamping those images for Nicole. So let me grab, I didn't even show you the papers. Golly. Let me show you the papers first, and then I'll do that stamping. Okay, so these are the papers. These are the big sheets of papers. Now, what is interesting about this, they have done two designs in two different colorways, and then one design in each colorway. I'll show you what I mean. So here on top, we've got Cherry Cobbler with that beautiful gold through it. And you could easily cut that in half and make 6 card fronts because you've sort of got this, this design just goes right through the center. And then on the back of that one, is that. So it's just a mottle with a little bit of a white through it. So it's like a real red cherry cobbler. Then you've got this one in Pretty Peacock, again, the same sort of thing. So you've got this design going straight through the centre. And on the back it's like a drip. It's like someone's poured paint all the way down. I just love the texture in this section down here. I haven't worked out what I'm going to use it for yet, but that is just gorgeous. Then there is two colours in the Mossy Meadow. So you've got that Mossy Meadow there. Can you see all that gold in that? And that gold goes sort of almost diagonally across with bits in those two opposite corners, and then the reverse of that one. So again, that really mottled sort of effect. Then you've got this one. So this is sort of like, I think it's a Mossy Meadow Old Olive tones. Then this one here, again in the Mossy Meadow and Old Olive, but a lot more gold in this and more all over. And then that one there is like, just like sort of stripes, like paint sort of sanded off or dragged down. Very nice texture as well. And then this one here, which is in the basic beige type colouring. So again, it's got that gold going almost at an angle on either side. And the back of that is that lovely mottled all over. And then this one here, again, with the gold is sort of all over it in different spots. And on the back of that one, that dragged paint. It's almost like they've sort of wiped some of the paint off. So you've got the different textures. Really, really nice papers. But we're going to be playing with the basic beige one today. So let's get back to having a look at these stamps. So let me just grab a piece of cardstock. Hold on 1 second. I have got some scraps lying around here. So there's one. There we go. There's 2 scraps of basic white. And I'm going to grab Mossy Meadow, and let's just grab those stamps. Because I haven't even tried these ones yet, Nicole, so I don't even know. And look, I tell you, I think they've got more sticky on these stamps than they've had before, because they have really, really stick. So you just got to be very careful when you peel this up, because you don't want to rip that foam. They stick so well in those cases. So let's have a look. We'll start with this one. I'll just ink that up. Push this down. I think I need to re-ink my Mossy Meadow ink pad a little bit. It's starting to look a little bit dry. So dry, actually, that looks like the foam pad is starting to crumble at the corners. That's not good. So that's that one. And then the other one, she'll be able to put them both on the same scrap, I think. So probably really good for textures, if you wanted to give something a bit of texture. I wonder how that would go. This one I'm thinking, I don't know. If you wanted to do a few of them to create like a scene type effect, you could do something like that. Anyway, I hope that's helped you, Nicole. Okay, let me just pop those to one side for the moment. And let's get started on our card. So what I'm using is a card base, which is just my standard card base of 10.5 by 29.9, and I've scored that at 14.9. I've cut a piece of designer series paper, and I'm going to use this side of it, and I've cut this piece at 10 by 14.4, and we're going to adhere that onto there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my bone folder and let's just fold this in half. There's going to be quite a bit in this card, so if I start putting some of this together now, it might help us. So there's our card base, and there's my mat, and I'm going to adhere this down. And I know it's terrible to glue down on top of all that beautiful gold, but I have a reason for doing it. So we're going to adhere that down there. Give that a really good push. Then I have another piece. Now this is from the same piece of Designer Series paper, and this time I'm going to use my gold side, and this piece here measures 6 by 14.1 because I just want a highlight of that gold. I didn't want too much of it. And we're going to pop that on there. Now I'm popping that onto the left-hand side and just leaving a little bit of an edge of about 1.5 mil around those two sides. So I've got that happening there now. So Nicole says, cool, I think they add background and grounding elements to a tree scene. Yeah, I think they could. Thanks for stamping them out. It's a bit hard to see in a catalogue without magnifying glass. Yeah, I know what you mean, Nicole, but that's fine. My pleasure to do that for you. So there's our card base. Now I'm also going to do my matte, my card insert, and I'm going to be using my basic beige for my insert, but this time I've got a piece of Mossy Meadow, and I'm going to adhere these two together. So my Mossy Meadow is 10 by 14.4, and my basic beige piece here is 9.7 by 14.1, and I will put all these measurements on my blog. I'm just not quite sure when I'm going to get to do that, but it will be hopefully over this weekend. I've got a little scrap here of my Designer Series paper, and I'm going to use my gold side, but I do need to just check this and trim this down a little bit. So 19.7, just cut that bit off. And I'm just going to adhere this down the bottom of my mat. Whoops. Just like that. And then we can pop this into the inside of our card. Now, of course, if you wanted to, you could stamp a sentiment on that before. I would do it before you put it into your card. I'm not worrying about that today. I like to write a little bit of a message in there if I can when I'm sending my cards. So, but if you're someone that doesn't like to write much of a message, just pop a sentiment inside there. So there's the basics of our card already done. Okay, so now let's have a look at some of the elements we're going to use to decorate this card. So I'm going to pop that to one side, and we're going to grab some bits and pieces here. So I'm going to use, as I said before, that Christmas, the word just Christmas from the sentiments, and I'm going to cut this piece here, which is the outer piece. This is a 2-layer sentiment in my Very Vanilla. Now, as I said before, I could have just stamped the word Christmas and then cut it out with that, but I'm going to actually use this one here. Now I've got cherry cobbler here to cut out the word Christmas. Now what I've done with this, I've added just a piece of an adhesive sheet on the back of that, so that's going to give me my glue so I can adhere these two pieces together. Now, because I've been playing around with these dies, I've got some leftovers that I had the other day in both Mossy Meadow and Old Olive. And I've had to quickly cut out one extra tree. Now, I'm not quite sure yet whether we're going to use these trees, but I thought I've got them handy because we're also going to be using our embossing folder. So let me just pop this out. Because originally with the layout I was working on the other day, I was actually going to use the stamped images of the trees. But when I came to put it all together, I really liked the idea of this. I thought it looked great on a scrapbook page. So don't forget, these can also be used in your scrapbooking. Just going to get rid of those little bits. So I've got now Old Olive in the large tree, the smaller tree in Mossy Meadow in the large tree and the small tree, and I've got one in the Old Olive. Now, whether we use these or not is another thing, but I've got them there just in case. So now the other thing I wanted to do is grab my embossing folder, and I've got a piece of basic beige here. Now this piece here is 7 by 12.1, and I'm going to run it through my embossing folder. Now I don't want, this has got a lot of blank space, and I don't want too much blank space, and I'm thinking that I'm going to, I just want this to give me texture really, and I'm thinking that I'm going to add that piece just about there. So that's going to give me my these raised. Now I've got a second piece of cardstock in the same cut to the same measurements, because I want to show you something when I emboss these that you could do. So, and I want to give myself an option of which one I'm going to take. So we're going to run that through our embossing machine, and we need to run these through our embossing machine. So let me just grab my cut and emboss, and I'm using my big one today. And let's start with the word Christmas. So because I'm using my big one, I can pop these through to go through together. I'm just going to pop them. It's a little bit hard to fit this underneath here, I'm sorry. Pop that at a little bit of an angle, and I'm going to pop that one there at a little bit of an angle. Just make sure I've got that in the right spot. So I've got the adhesive there. Let's just pop that underneath there and run this through. Now I am going to run this through twice, just for the fact that the real red one has got a few smaller little bits and pieces to be die cut out, whereas the other one is just around the outside edge. So that's those two done, and we'll pop them out in a minute. Now let me just change my plates over so we can run this one here through our embossing folder. So with this one, we only need plate 1 and plate 4, and we're going to send it through with the folded edge going through first. Now, I said I was going to do this a second time, and I'm going to show you why, because I've got another piece here, and I'm not quite sure which way I want this to go. But this one here, I was using, there's 3 trees. I was using more towards my fold, but this one here, I want to go more towards my edge, because it's going to give me another tree, the third tree, but also I'm just not quite sure, and I'll show you what I'm thinking of how I'm going to lay this out, because I am just using this as a textural piece, but I've also got a lot of texture in my design series paper, so I don't want too many textures clashing against each other. Daylight savings catch you, Joan. Very easy to happen. My husband and I had a lovely sleep in on Sunday morning. We're usually up as soon as the light cracks through the blinds. But because of daylight savings, it was sort of like we woke up and it was like, oh, it's almost 9 o'clock. We don't usually sleep in that much. So, yeah, this daylight savings can get you the first week. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you. So I've got two here, which are very textured. So that one there is closer is to this edge, and this one here is more to this way. But what I'm thinking with my card front, let's bring my card front in. Now, you could use either side of this image. If I use this one here, okay, I've got a very high texture in my trees. Now, what I was thinking with this one, if I use this one, I'm going to flip it over and use the back of it, which means I have my texture is reversed, which is going to give me more of a flatter looking tree, which is not, if I pop these on top, this is where I was saying I'm not quite sure whether we're going to use these or not yet. It may not, it'll give the texture behind it, but not overpower it. So I'm sort of not quite sure yet whether I'm going to go that way, and we'll probably use either 2 or 3 trees, or whether I keep all the texture, and I'm tending to like the texture at the moment, and just go that way. My other option is, because I've given myself a few different options, I'm just going to grab a doorbell out, because this could be just too much, because I do like having the trees on there. You like the debossed? Yeah, that's what I'm sort of thinking. I like the debossed, the idea of the debossed on. But the other one I was thinking, now I'm going to grab this one here and do it on here. Now this is, I've got my mossy meadow here, and I'm just going to ink that up on my doorbell and just give this a little bit of, go over the top of that bossed image. Maybe that needs just that little bit more. Oops, got a little bit too heavy-handed there. So I'm sort of, whether I go that and then have my sentiments over the top, or whether I go that with my trees over the top. And I was thinking of actually going that one. If I do the 3 trees, having 3. We're not going to make up our mind as yet until I've fixed up that sentiment. So, and we'll work out. It's just, I just feel like it needs a little bit of texture, but I don't want to put in too much. I don't want to have too many elements overpowering it. So we'll think about that one for a moment. Let's pop that to one side, and let's grab these and start putting this together, because then we can start working out which one we want to use. So there's our outline of Christmas, and this one here is going to be our actual word. So I just need my take a pick tool, and let's pop this out. Now be very careful when you're hearing these die cut words like this, because you don't want to stretch your wording, and because it's a scripted font and quite thin, it is very easy to do that. But that one's not too bad actually. So what we're going to do is just very gently peel off backing, but I'm going to just do a little bit at a time. And I might just have to hold that back or even break it off, but we're just going to layer this over the top and press it down, and we're just going to peel that backing off just a little bit. So this is where it can stretch easily. And you also don't want to rip it. Sorry, this is just going to be maybe a little bit out of screen. So we just want to, whoops, my H is not sitting in the right spot. Just causing that R to stretch. So we want to make sure that's going into that up there. There's the I, and I must have the dot is still in my die, so don't let me forget my dot. Very carefully peel this back a little bit more. S, whoops, something stretched a little bit there. So let's just see if I can lift that S up a bit more. I might even peel this all off now. This is where you've got to be very, very gentle. Play with it to get it back into the shapes. Sometimes it's easier to get the next letter in place, and then the one before will fall into the right spot. I'm going to grab this S and pop this S in. Just going to very gently with my take a pick tool, move all of this into correct position. That M just needs to be lifted a little bit there. There we go. Beautiful. So there's our Christmas. Now we just need that dot. And this is going to be the fun part, getting the backing off it. And there. So there's our lovely word of Christmas. So let me just move all these out of the road, and let's just bring in our card again, and let's work out what we're going to do. Now, there's one other thing I do need to do, and that is I want to stamp onto this piece of Mossy Meadow the word Merry, and I'm going to do that and emboss that in some gold. So I've got my Merry here from my stamp, and I'm just going to pop that on there. And I'm not worrying about my foam mat or anything underneath it because it's just one little bit, and I should have some gold powder there. Let me just grab my tray. Going to pop a little bit of gold embossing powder on that. As I said before, this card is going to have lots of different bits and pieces on top. There's our Merry. And I will fix up that powder and that later. Just need to heat this up. So I'm going to make a little bit of noise now, so won't take long, and we'll just heat this up, and you'll know this is done when the colour changes. It goes from a matte to a shiny. There it goes. You always hit it from the back a little bit if it's starting to warp a bit. That's perfect there. So there's our Mary, and I just want to cut that down. And I'm just going to do that with a pair of snips. Now I've just realised you can't really see. There you go. There's our Mary on there, just like that. I just want to cut that just by hand. I'm just going to cut a rectangle around it. I'm not fussy cutting it too much. And that is that. It might be just a little bit crooked, but there we are. So there's the rest of our sentiment. So let's have a look at this card. So there's a debossed sign. And we can put a big tree. Now, it's whether I go one large one and one small one. Let me just pop those out. As I said, I've got one here in Mossy Meadow and one in Old Olive. Then we have our sentiment, which is going to go across there like that. Actually, I quite like that. I've done the Mary in Mossy Meadow. That's going to get lost on the trees. I think we need to do our Mary in maybe in the, let me have a look, see if I've got some offcuts around here. I should do. I'm wondering whether I might do it in that. Let's have a look. We're going to give ourselves lots of alternatives. I don't want to do it in cherry cobbler because we've got our Christmas in cherry cobbler. We definitely want, though, our Mary to be standing out, not blending in. Just wondering whether I need just to trim that a little bit more. That'll be better. I think we only need the two trees, and I like it with the debossed. Let's have a look at the alternative. Let's just have a look and see what the alternative is. So there's the embossed one with the green just rubbed over the top, and we could do it with just Okay, if we did that on that, we'd have to do the Christmas in that and then have the Mary in that. So that's much simplified. Okay, so then let's just pop this back on. So we've got our trees on there. The other would be too to add a slightly taller tree because we've got a lot of space up here. And then this one we would use that Mary. I don't know, I like both. Not quite sure. But I'm not quite sure too whether I should use the smaller tree or the slightly larger tree. Hello, Thrifty Crocherer. How are you today? Thank you for joining us. So what do we think? Which one do we like better? This one, which has just got that little bit of a hint of colour in the trees and the embossed trees, or the de-embossed trees with the extra trees added on it? And of course then the Christmas would go over the top of that. So if we're going to call this one 1 and this one 2, yeah, it is a hard choice, Nicole. Which one? You're going for 2? It's much subtler, that one. This one here, there's a lot happening in it. That's the only thing that sort of, I think we might do this one because I think it is a little bit softer, a little bit subtle because there's a lot happening in it. Because you've got the gold in the background. Cut another Christmas die cut and make 2. Yeah, I could do another Christmas die cut and make 2. That thought did go through my head a moment ago. But I think I like this one a little bit. The other thing you could add on there, if you wanted to add a little bit of gold into that as well, is you could use the, hold on a sec, let me grab it. I have to just get up, I think. Give me one moment. I need to do a massive clean out in my craft room again because I've got stuff here everywhere. But you also have, now these are something I haven't used as yet, which are your enamel effects. And I was watching somebody the other day Okay, let's have a look. So let's just take this side here, flip this over because we can always come back. I can turn it over and use it. Oh, that is a dry stamp pad. Okay. So you can add a bit of that. And then what they did, using the gold out of the enamel effects, actually I probably should have put it on the other finger. They just put a little bit of gold on their finger and you could just easily just tap that around over the top. But I think that's going to be just that little bit too much with the gold in the paper, I think. Yeah, I like it, but I think it's just, you see that there? Just give it a little bit of gold to the paper, but I think I'm going to give that one a bit of a miss. I think there's enough in that already because you've got your gold in the Mary as well. Anyway, I haven't ruined that. I can still use the deboss side of that. Let's put this card together. Let's get this done. Okay, so we'll take those two off and I'm going to adhere this straight down. That's going to go straight in the middle there. Now, at Christmas, I do want to pop that up on dimensionals. So let me just grab my mini dimensionals and let's pop some of these on the back. And I just want to put a little piece on that C, so I'm just going to cut a narrow strip there. Sorry about that noise, that's my husband bringing in our garbage bins because they sit not far from my craft window. So there's our word Christmas. I love this word. Oh, I love Christmas. And that can just go, that's pretty much, let me just have a look. That Christmas might just have to come just up a little bit. We can go there. And then we have our, and I'm just going to glue this one straight down. Just sitting there on the side. Just hold that down for a second, just let that glue adhere. Could have also popped that up on dimensionals, but I do like to have that one sitting flatter. So there we go. I'll pop all those to one side. Don't think I'm going to be using this. I think it's got enough bling, and I think for me it is almost a little bit too yellow, like it's a real yellow gold. Clashes a little bit, I think. For me it does. For other people it may not, just for me. So there you are. There's my card for today. Just a very simple sort of card, but you know, you can, as we said before, you could dress it up by adding some of these die cuts and so forth to it as well. And I probably will make a second card and add these trees, but those trees, I just love them. Really pretty. And then there's the other Mary. So a couple of different varieties to play with. Have a go. If you don't have a demonstrator and you are here in Australia, I'm quite happy to become your demonstrator. You can purchase these products through me on my Stamping Up online store, which is at michelledutrissa.stampingup.net, or you can send me a message if you need help hand to find that. So thank you very much for joining me today. Have a lovely weekend. I have got a few things happening this weekend. I'm going to try to blog these. I still have a little bit of sewing to do, and I've still got my scrapbook layout to complete so that I can share that with you. Otherwise, hopefully I will be back here on Tuesday for another bit of crafting. So take care. Have a lovely weekend. Let's cross our fingers for some lovely weather, though it is supposed to rain, I believe. So take care. Bye for now.